The police can find drivers who cause a nuisance with too much noise, but it's not easy to gather evidence. So the big question is, how do you stop it?
Could this be the end of performance exhausts on our cars and motorbikes?
Oh, watch this snow.
Now,
I'm a massive car enthusiast, and since I've seen the news on these new noise cameras, I have been obsessed with finding out all the questions and answers as to whether this is going to affect me. Now you're also wondering, will it affect you? But lucky for us, we have Ruben, the director here at the company that actually invented this technology. So Ruben, why don't you introduce yourself?
So yeah, hello George, my name's Ruben. I'm a director here at Intelligent Instruments in Southampton, and we designed and manufacture noise cameras.
So I want to know personally, as a car enthusiast, whether it's going to affect me and whether it's going to affect them. So lucky for us, on Instagram, they've actually given us loads of questions, and we can answer them today, if that's
Absolutely,
all right.
Let's do that.
Fantastic. Yeah. So let's get behind this box of tech, and hopefully we can do them all justice. So we may as well start with the fact that I've had some awesome questions come in through Instagram that's going to allow us to accurately describe how these noise cameras are going to affect us car enthusiasts and motorbike fans here in the UK. So I'm going to put that to the side for 1 second, because I know that Ruben, you had something you wanted to address from the get-go regarding these cameras. Why is it that you do what you do?
One of the first questions we had was from one of your viewers was, what is the point? The intent of these systems is not to be sort of punitive. It's not to target motorists. It's to protect the immunity and the lives of people that live in areas where people perhaps do drive a little bit aggressively, or over rev, or perhaps have modified exhaust, where they play a little bit too much, a little bit harder than they should have done. And it's to preserve the immunity of those people that might be disturbed, might struggle to sleep, might be woken up, might have small families, young children, and it's to look after those people.
So in effect, it's not penalising the modified car enthusiast per se, it's to say that if you're going to drive down this road in Kensington, it's do it respectfully, don't speed, and avoid things like pops and bangs and
Absolutely.
driving recklessly.
It's time and place. It's
Okay,
time and place. So it's to make sure that people in those areas are responsible, and they're not disturbing. You know, you can go out and have fun, but perhaps do it somewhere where you're not going to disturb people that are living close by.
This one came in from Tom_Davis_0. What are the consequences? Is it a fine or points? And how common are these cameras?
Okay, well at the moment the law is emerging, so there's no points. In this country they're enforced by councils, so we have 3 councils in London that have camera systems.
So it's not a police thing, it's a council
It's not a
thing.
police matter at the moment, it may be in the future, but at the moment no it's not. And for example in Kensington it's a £100 fine.
Now before we get on with the rest of today's video, I want to say a big shout out to today's video sponsor, Car Vertical.
If you bought a used car, you never know how shady its past has been. According to stats, at least every second vehicle could have been seriously crashed, clocked, or both. It's often life-threatening to drive such an unsafe car. Also, it's like theft from you, because criminal activities artificially inflate the price. For illegal mileage rollback alone, you could overpay up to 25%. Are you really sure what kind of accidents the car was in? Hasn't it been welded together from 2? What's its actual mileage? Had it always passed technical inspections? Neither the seller nor the test drive will disclose this to you. Always check the car with Car Vertical and learn its real history yourself. To save money on a used car history check, why not use my discount code GCM for 10% off? How can the camera be sure that the noise is being emitted from the car and not something else?
Well, I mean, as you can see in the in this video, so you review the video, listen to the audio. If there's one car in the frame, you can tell by the type of vehicle. You can distinguish motorbikes from cars, for example. Where necessary, we can slow the time right down. We can look at it frame by frame to identify the vehicle, and we also have technology that's just emerging now, which we'll be launching next year, which will provide a visual identification of the car over the video, so you can tell exactly which is the dominant vehicle.
So is that down to the discretion of the person reviewing the footage, or the camera itself?
It's down to the camera system itself. So we have an array of microphones that can actually pinpoint the source. They triangulate the noise source.
Are they only going to be in residential areas, or will they be all over?
Their sole purpose is to protect people in residential areas. So yes, primarily in residential areas.
So they're unlikely going to be on B roads in the countryside. They're more likely to be in areas that people want Peace and quiet.
They'll be in areas where people live.
How many decibels is too many?
There is no precise limit. It's a subjective assessment, so certainly in the UK. In the US it's different, but in the UK it's all about a human being reviewing the video, listening to the audio and determining whether that individual has driven aggressively, driving inappropriately, perhaps over-revving, and taking a judgment on it.
Okay, so assuming they were driving responsibly, I, as a car enthusiast, just pray that the person reviewing the footage is a petrol head and thinks that Lambo sounds sick.
Well, I think if you're driving responsibly, there shouldn't be an issue. I don't think praying should be necessary.
Are motorcycles going to be included with these noise cameras?
Motorcycles are included, so noise from a motor vehicle is noise from a motor vehicle, whether it's a lorry, whether it's a car, whether it's a motorbike. I think we're all mindful though of the phrase that pipes save lives, and
I agree, yeah.
and there's everyone's very aware of motorcycles as a sort of vulnerable road user. The enforcing authorities will take a view on that.
Are these aimed at trying to stop aftermarket exhaust being fitted that makes cars louder?
No, they're not. They're about promoting reasonable driving, reasonable behaviour in areas where people live, in order to protect those people, enable them to enjoy their homes in peace and quiet.
Okay, so do you believe then that it is maybe the end of loud performance cars? Or what's your personal take on that? That's a question from me.
No, I don't believe it is the end. I think it's just about ensuring that the people that have those kind of cars use them responsibly in the right locations at the right time and place.
Okay, no, I agree. Fair enough. Are they run by the police or the council? Now, I know we've gone into this really briefly, but are the police instigating this? Have they told you to make this software, this technology?
No, so this started about 3 years ago with Kensington and Chelsea Council in London, and we have two other customers in London, which is Westminster Council and Wandsworth Council. Okay. They are the guys that are using the system in anger and are issuing fines. So primarily at the moment it's local councils, and we do have a trial with we've had a couple of trials with police forces. We have one at the moment with Cheshire Police, and they're just issuing warnings. But no, at the moment the drivers are the local authorities. 3
cars are all travelling close together. One is too loud. Who gets a ticket? These cameras can't be accurate.
The cameras are super accurate. So the microphone that we have here is a precision microphone, and it's rated to what we call Class 1 accuracy, which is basically as accurate as it gets outside of a laboratory. So the noise level it reads in decibels is very, very precise. In terms of identifying the offender out of 3 different vehicles, very often you will see a car which may be a performance car, and the other 2 are perhaps more modest cars. We can also slow down the video and look at it frame by frame to determine which is the offender. And new technology, which we're just finalising now, uses a microphone array to determine the dominant source, and that will be overlaid on our video with a marker to point out the dominant car.
What if your car is above the limit, but it's completely stock and of course approved by the DVLA? So for example, Mustang out the factory, Lambo out the factory, think of another car like a McLaren. What about that?
Well, every car in the country is assessed at the point of manufacture to standards that are set by the Department for Transport. So in theory, any stock vehicle that is on the road and hasn't been modified is compliant. If it's not compliant, it's just down to the way it's been driven.
What if you have an imported or classic car that doesn't abide by the current MOT rules, but for example was loud out of the factory?
Well, I think it's at the discretion of the enforcing authority. The way the systems work is they review the footage, so they will look at the video, they'll listen to the audio, they'll look at the noise level, and I would like to think that they would identify it as a classic car, an old car that is sort of perhaps not built to current standards, and they would take a view on it.
Right, so Ruben, I can only apologise, it's freezing cold, but guys, we've done our best to answer some questions. But before we actually take this camera out onto the roads into its natural habitat, I thought I'd ask you to explain, while it's here, how this thing actually works, because I see 2 cameras and a giant microphone.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the sound camera system, box of electronics in here with a modem. Everything that it records goes up into the cloud for a review remotely. We've got the 2 cameras, they're at 180 degrees to each other.
Like this?
Yep, so one looks up the road and one looks down the road, and obviously the microphone here on the boom, and we put it typically on a lamppost 4 to 5 metres up in the air, and it quietly does its thing from there.
Because I see the bracket on the back, so that's obviously how it attaches, but I'm curious with the microphone, does it point up like this? or does it point down at the traffic?
It points exactly as you see it here.
Okay,
Yeah.
amazing. That's really, really interesting. But guys, I think we should get onto the roads and see this thing working in its natural habitat. So as you can see, we're now out by a busy road, and Ruben has put one of his cameras on the lamppost behind us. But obviously in real life, it's not going to be that low. It's going to be at least 5 meters off the ground. But Ruben, what exactly is that camera doing right now?
Well, right now it's just there for demonstration purposes, but if it was there as a permanent feature, it would be recording video, noise level, audio on a continuous basis. When it triggers, when it detects excess noise from an exhaust system, it sends that data to the cloud. The user logs into that through a web browser and they can review it and take action if they feel that it's needed.
So I remember you were saying off camera as well that you're actually going to be watching this video for the next couple of weeks, and you and your team are going to be in the comment section letting any one of them know, well, I suppose, answers to the questions that they might have.
Happy to do that.
So in summary then, for today's video, how would you say that the viewer can avoid getting in trouble by these noise cameras?
I think just drive responsibly in areas that are that people live, and be aware of your surroundings.
Okay, so when you're in residential areas, don't be doing pops and bangs, wheel spins, accelerating fast, don't be doing launch control, just have respect in general.
Absolutely.
Drive the way that we said that we would when we passed our test,
Absolutely.
sensibly
Yep.
and safely. I suppose you can imagine an instructor sat right next to you or your grandma.
Yes.
But yeah, guys, at the end of the day, these cameras are not out to get us. They're out to make sure that we drive responsibly and safely in residential areas. So I really hope that this video has helped. Smash a thumbs up on the video if you haven't already. Please subscribe to the channel and help get us to 100k, because we are so close, and then you'll be notified as to more useful videos that you might find interesting. But I suppose other than that, we'll see you in the next one. Ruben, it's been lovely.
Thanks, George.
Thank you so
Cheers.
much.
Okay.